You're watching Viral TV Kenya. We lived happily with my wife. I was a businessman in Nairobi city. My wife did house chores, so most of the times she stayed back home. Most of the times I was a busy person, so taking home certain goods, example foodstuffs and other households, were a difficult task. I had to trust a bodaboda rider whom I used to send him to deliver these products back to my wife. The rider took the advantage of confusing my wife to the extent he took her mobile number as they charted each day. One day I got messages of the rider in my wife's phone, evidence that he had already banged him already. This really heartbroke me, since the rider had already had S3X with my wife, and according to the text he was really thanking my wife for the service. When I asked my wife about the text messages, she claimed it was a relative who was really thanking her for sending the money. One day I decided to send the rider home as usual to deliver the household products. I shut my business temporarily and followed the bodaboda rider without him knowing I was behind after him. As I watched through the gate, the bodaboda rider hugged my wife just after giving her the products. They entered the house in a jovial mood and banged up the door. It was really a nice day to find them red-handed, for they had hidden this for long and it was really breaking my marriage apart. It was the right time for an ambush as well. I opened the door and found no one in the sitting room. After a while, I heard some noises in my matrimonial bedroom. They were really having a blast as the act seemed really sweet. I ambushed them, happily exchanging body fluids. They were really in shock and had nothing to do. Luckily the bodaboda rider escaped. My wife was in such a shame as he cried, begging for forgiveness. Something that I would not do since it was now a habit. I decided to go back to my business, for I had proved everything. When I was opening up the business, my friend James approached me from nowhere. He realized I was much disturbed according to my facial expression. I narrated to him everything that happened, where later he told me he had a lasting solution to curb such a behavior, and the solution was to visit Kiwanga doctors. We called Dr. Kiwanga for advice. He told me to calm down, for he was going to handle every situation I was going through. After a while I was shocked by a phone call back at home that there was something that had happened in my own house. I was really in shock, since I never thought of anything negative. I was really confused what had happened. When I arrived home, I met a large crowd of people, and when I went straight to the room, it was the bodaboda rider plus my wife who had stacked together having S3X. They were really wailing in pain. Kiwanga doctors' things were really at work. The bodaboda rider had to pay some amount to get unstuck, since it was really a bad scene. Later his family paid 50,000 shillings to get the job done. I called Dr. Kiwanga to unstuck them. I later forgave my wife and we really moved on as a couple again. Since that day our marriage has been a success, and many people admire us each time we walk together to social places like markets and partying clubs. Any person with trust issues in marriage should visit Kiwanga doctors for assistance. Kiwanga doctors also solve magic spells, land issues within 3 days. Do not hesitate to call them in case you are in need. Do not be limited with the geographical location you are in, since they also treat through phone call.